Monster spit, translucent wood, meteoric cheese.
Tonight, we're building with 8 new magical materials coming right up.
That's how we roll. 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 That's how we roll.
Welcome to the Goblins Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
We're talking about magical materials.
that's right, we've got 8 new magical materials for you to use in your campaign, Pathfinder, D&D, honestly, whatever game you'd like to throw them in.
Yeah.
And this is something that we enjoy doing, is providing a little bit of lore, a little bit of thematics, some fun for your game.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty much it. This is what it's going to be about. I'm pretty excited.
Me too. This is a group of materials that exist in the game world that I'm currently running.
Yes.
And Eric has decided to write some lore for them because in my game world, they simply exist and nobody has explored that.
Any clue as to why they exist yet?
Right.
So we thought for tonight it would be kind of fun. Matt provides the materials, with the exception of one that I added.
Yes.
And then I provide the lore behind some of these materials. So first off, you might want to ask, why magical materials, Matt?
One of the things that is important to both of us is flavor.
Every time.
All the time, more flavor is more better.
If D&D was a spice packet, we would be Flavor Town. Like, we would be just dropping nothing but those ramen noodle spice packets into your big noodle soup of game.
Yes. Don't sue us, Guy Fieri. So.
You know, previous editions had lots of cool stuff that doesn't exist anymore. One of the things we talked about before the show is abyssal steel, right?
Yeah. Bronze wood, soar wood. There's a bunch, Beldurals, which I think still exists in the Forgotten Realms.
I don't know that one.
It's the blue stone that flashes with green light on occasion.
Sure.
It's my brain.
And you know, a lot of these tonight are not going to be super duper magical, right? You're not going to get amazing powers. You could, but most of them are the result of either strange magic or maybe the harvesting of strange creatures.
Sure.
So a good example of that is, of course, we talked about fantastical cities.
Yeah.
You could easily see some of this material in a fantastical city if you want to kind of, spice it up a bit. Just because there's magic doesn't mean that you're not going to have really awesome magical things as well.
Yeah. And one of the things we talk about in Because Magic is the fact that sometimes things simply occur because magic.
Absolutely. So tonight we got 8 new materials. We'll provide a description, a little bit of lore for you to use, and of course, amazing uses for these materials.
Yeah, because what's the use of having materials if
you don't get some examples behind them, of course. And the first one, Matt, you've come up with is called Keilicai Leather. Tell me a bit about the Keilicai. What's the description behind this leather?
It is an oddly textured, mostly smooth, blue-green leather. It's often worn as clothing or armor.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the way it works is Keilicai Leather reduces drag in water. It grants an extra 5 foot of movement for swimming after a DC 12 athletics check.
So you got to swim and make a little check, and then it just kind of speeds you along. Kind of like how you first learned to swim with, like, flippers.
Yes. At first, they kind of slow you down because it takes getting used to, but once you get used to them, they're more efficient.
And they're very comfortable.
Yep.
Great for walking downtown, too. Get a little bit of looks, some odd, gazes your way.
Well, if you're not wearing them with a tuxedo, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You got to have flippers.
Yeah.
It's important.
What's the lore behind Keilicai?
Well, Keilicai are large aquatic reptiles known for their fierce hunting, swift speed, and dense skin.
Big-ass reptile.
Yeah. Think like a cross between a crocodile and an eel.
Sounds very deadly.
They're not friendly.
So this is definitely something that you could throw into your game as maybe an encounter and then kind of chalk it up to something along the lines of, after they've killed it, you now can loot the body, essentially.
Yeah. We believe in monster harvesting in this house.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the episode on creature harvesting, go check that out. We've got a lot more examples in addition to this. What are some potential uses of Keilicai leather, Matt?
If you make a boat out of it, like a canoe or a kayak or something like that, it's going to give you the increased speed for the vehicle.
Absolutely. So I could see a boat that's lined in the leather. Maybe it has like a wood frame, and it's just the hull is leather, kind of like the Native American boats.
Yes.
Or you could even just have like a straight up wooden boat, and then they just kind of slap it on top.
Yeah, that would also make sense because you're still decreasing the drag.
Yeah, it's like putting a fin on a racing car. It makes it go faster.
Now, you can also use it for leather clothing, particularly jackets and pants.
Yeah, because I would assume if it's making you move faster in water, it's probably water resistant of some sort.
Yeah, it makes a good rain suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Could see this for swim armor as well.
Yes. Like, I, in my world, would use mariner's armor. Like, it would be made out of this stuff because that makes the most sense to me.
Absolutely.
And clearly, you're going to use it for awesome umbrellas and water-resistant coats.
You know what also this would be great for? Would be a water-resistant hat, like a dope-ass fedora. Think like Indiana Jones's fedora, but it just kind of moves through the water very slickly. You could swim with it.
Sure. When you said it at first, a water-resistant hat, I was thinking something big like a sombrero, where it just basically is a giant umbrella.
That would be hilarious. I also thought of something really cool. This would be a great weapon. And what I mean by that is imagine taking the Keilicai leather and weaving it into a whip. And you being able to basically whip people
Use it underwater?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I'm with that.
Score 1 for me on that one.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's great.
Yeah. So that's Keilicai leather. What a easy, again, not overtly magical.
Yeah.
Just natural. I mean, it's a magical creature, so it's a magical material, but just something that's very useful for your game.
Next up, we have Gravestone. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the description of it?
Okay. This smooth white stone with small, delicate black striations faintly radiates cold and is cooler to the touch than the ambient air by about 15 or so degrees. Gravestone can crop up anywhere, and generally due to its creation is often found in clumps or large groups of material. So veins of it can appear anywhere.
What is the lore behind Gravestone?
While it's named Gravestone, the material doesn't stem from any necromantic or dark power, but rather minor planar conjunctions from the plane of ice.
Nice.
So it's cool like the grave.
Right.
The stone somehow absorbs the aspect of cold, storing it in a highly sought-out form. Many prospectors search far and wide for Gravestone, and in areas with large veins, competition can be fierce.
I think it's funny that you can have fierce, and we all know what that means in a fantasy world.
Yes.
Competition for something called Gravestone. So people are dying over something
Gravestone.
called Gravestone.
It's
Yeah.
to die for, this Gravestone. Some sages have suggested Gravestone can also be created through magic, such as from mighty spell battles where fierce cold alters the landscape.
This is a perfect example of our episode Because Magic.
Yes, because you're casting a spell in a battle. There's all kinds of stuff going back and forth. Maybe an ice storm or cone of cold or something like that gets thrown, and it just kind of gets absorbed into the surrounding stone, right? Maybe you're fighting on a mountain. That would be kind of neat. Maybe it's next to the plane of ice, or it's in the
Frostfell.
Yeah, the Frostfell.
A curious concept to me is whatever the opposite of a pyromancer is.
A cryomancer?
That's the word I was looking for. Wherever they hole up or wherever someone has come to attack them, and they just, everything's cold, right?
Devastate
no
everything.
No matter what it is, it's going to be cold based. They make ice balls instead of fireballs. They just go all in on the theme, right?
Yeah.
Wherever that happens, 100%, there's going to be veins of Gravestone.
This would also be super cool in like a...
I like your pun there.
Sorry for the pun. At the top of like a mountain, like the peak of a very, very tall mountain where the air is thin, it's icy cold, or even with like a frost giant's den.
Sure.
White Dragon would be perfect for this as well.
Yep. Winter Wolves.
Winter Wolves, yeah. All kinds of different ways this stuff can crop up.
What are some of the potential uses of it, though?
One of them you actually added, which was a cameo. Tell me what a cameo is, just for those who don't recall what that is.
So a cameo is a piece of jewelry that usually has a picture inscribed on it. It is a bas relief, but on a small piece of jewelry.
Usually
as
someone's
opposed to a
loved one
wall.
or something like that. Yeah, which is interesting because it'd be cool to the touch, and I like that as an idea. I put down cool boxes or cool rooms, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah.
If you can get enough of that stone.
It's air conditioning.
Exactly. 15 degrees from the ambient temperature may not be super cold. It's not going to make ice form, but...
Right. But it's going to change the comfort level drastically in hot locations.
Ornamental trinkets about the home is also kind of nice. And it would also maybe radiate a little bit of cold, depending on how strong it is. And then finally, I thought it would be awesome to have like a mug made out of this. Get your nice cool beverage when you get home. Or even like a fruit salad bowl that keeps the fruit
Oh, I love
chilled.
that. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Even just water. Maybe like a wash basin that's made out of the stone for the water.
And all of that is super useful, not game mechanic inclined, but it provides a lot of flavor.
But thematically awesome.
Yes.
So that's Gravestone. You have a wood, which is up next, and it's called owlwood. Talk to me about owlwood, Matt.
This dense, slightly orange hardwood grows throughout temperate and tropical forests.
Mm-hmm.
Owlwood is significantly lighter than most hardwoods, but just as tough, which that's already useful.
Oh, yeah. It's wait a minute. It's light wood and tough. I'm going to harvest it anyway.
Yeah. Also, something about the grain of owlwood absorbs sound.
Oh, very cool.
Now, it's not like a silent spell, right? But it just makes things quieter.
It's acoustic absorbing wood.
Yes.
Very cool. What's the lore behind this?
It was named for the silent predator, owls. Makes sense. It is a highly sought after wood by anyone who enjoys the luxury of peace and quiet.
Which is probably every adventurer after a time.
And every parent.
Yes.
Owlwood grows slowly, so oftentimes individual owlwood seeds are just as valuable as the wood itself.
Sure.
Rich people use it for less creaky upstairs flooring.
Mm-hmm.
Fancy thieves use it for tapping skulls quietly.
So use it for like a blackjack.
Mm-hmm.
Just knock it. Yeah. Silencer for blunt weapons. That's awesome. So that's owlwood, huh? Cool. Let's talk about some potential uses of this. We've already mentioned one.
Soundproofing.
Yeah. And, soundproofing is great because can you imagine harvesting it and having like I'm seeing like a thieves' den and they have like, let's go into my conference room, my office.
Yeah.
It's dampened already. They've already got magical barriers and stuff like that. But it's like, you look around, it's like, wow, it's really quiet in here. So you can hear anybody creeping up behind to stab you in the back.
Sure. Amphitheaters and conference rooms.
Mm-hmm. This would be great for a bard.
Yeah, because it allows you to control echoes and things like that. For acoustics, can't beat it.
Yeah.
Covered wagons.
Because people don't realize this. You got a couple horses drawing a wagon over a bumpy, muddy road.
They are notoriously loud,
Yeah.
in fact.
So if you're sitting in there, you're getting jostled around anyway. But at least then you're getting jostled around in the quiet.
Yeah. If you're going to be uncomfortable, you might as well be uncomfortable but peaceful.
Yes.
Weapons.
Yeah, we mentioned weapons
that.
before. Mm-hmm.
And silent druid armor.
That would be really interesting as well because you could have a nice set of armor and be a stealthy druid, particularly if you multi-class out.
Yeah.
Get a little rogue action going on with your druid.
Who doesn't love a druid thief?
Little circle of the moon, stabby action, and, it's good times right there.
Absolutely.
Cool. So that's owlwood.
Up next, we have
Another wood.
Rainbow Stonewood. What's that about?
Rainbow Stonewood. This very dense, heavy, colorful wood is ideal for making blunt weapons when metal is scarce. So, going back to like the bronzewood stuff from previous editions, but this time it's rainbow, guys, which means it's even better because it's not bronze, it's rainbow.
Yes.
Rainbow Stonewood can be worked similar to metal. Can also be used to reinforce armor if a large enough specimen is found. For example, a big tree. So you could carve like a whole set of armor out of rainbow wood.
Mm-hmm.
Druids need some armor ideas. That whole thing about not being able to use metal, that's kind of painful for them.
It's almost like that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Matt provides many examples of that. So it's just a rainbow wooded tree that's exceptionally dense and hard.
If you are playing the home game and you cannot picture what a rainbow stonewood would look like, look up rainbow eucalyptus. It is, in fact, the impetus for this particular tree.
I've learned something new. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it is wild.
That's super cool.
So tell us a little bit about the lore of this wood.
Rainbow stonewood trees often grow near areas of intense conflict or violent emotions, and as such can be found growing near conflict zones, contested borders, and battlegrounds.
All right.
It grows where people get beat up and killed. By a curious coincidence, rainbow stonewood holds martial enchantments especially well, and those who covet the material often purposely plant seeds in areas to harvest later. So, my thought behind this is because it grows in battlegrounds and it holds, martial enchantments, you're an army. You're going to take over this region. You're expecting fierce battling.
Just go ahead and plant it.
You've got a druid or even just, a couple of dudes with some seeds, just tossing them into the field while the battle is raging.
Absolutely.
And if you're smart, you have someone cast plant growth while the battle is raging.
And just throw cats up in the air from this.
If you plant them in a line and you do plant growth, they're trees. You now have a wall
of wood.
Yes. So now you can mess with the armies. And when you're done killing everybody, you just harvest the wood and sell it.
Or use it to fix anything that was broken during the battle.
Yeah, that's D&D math, folks.
That's right.
That's exactly what it is.
Clearly, it's got some potential uses.
Yes.
Let's talk about them real quick.
Obviously, weapons.
Sure.
There'd be rainbow weapons.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to beat somebody up, they might as well be a little happy about it.
I want to be a barbarian with this big-ass axe, and the handle is super rainbow. I mean, just like candy-colored.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Skittles rainbow.
Sure.
Yeah. Armor would be even better. Again, we're going, some wooden armor.
Yeah.
Now you've got a Fey Druid would be awesome.
Absolutely.
With rainbow
armor.
One of
the little pixies.
With rainbow armor. Or a satyr.
Yeah.
With Fey armor. That'd be super cool. Decorations, of course, would be another good example of that.
I can see both like framing for pictures and stuff. Like if it's a brightly colored picture, a picture frame, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Jewelry.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting you mentioned framing because that was one of the options that I had for that was structural framing.
Oh.
It's incredibly dense. It's incredibly hard. So it can make some big I-beams for homes and stuff. And think about this. Maybe you've got two pillars on the front of your house carved out of rainbow wood, exquisitely carved, maybe in the shape of like dragons or mythological creatures and stuff. It's already, all you need is add a little bit of lacquer or something to it and you call it a day.
So a Viking longhouse style building made of rainbow wood.
It's like a Bifrost bridge.
And I was thinking Wild Magic Barbarian house.
Oh, that's even better. Wild Magic Barbarian Viking wood. Yeah.
That would be so great.
I also like the Bifrost bridge too.
Yeah, that's a great tie-in as well.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
So a lot of options with that. Again, this is just straight up wood, right? It just happens to grow be a magical location. But aside from that, easy to use.
Yeah. It's a super dense, super hard wood. I don't know how you get any simpler than that.
Yeah, that's about it. Non-magical, but definitely awesome. Speaking of awesome things, we also have...
Your question of the week?
All right. What awesome question do you have for me this week, Matt?
If you were the god of magic, which I know is a stretch for you, that'd be so difficult for you to conceptualize.
If only, Matt. If only.
What would the primary type of magical material to build with or, design with be? Like animal, vegetable, mineral, or some other stuff, and why?
I mean, if I had my druthers, I would choose magic to build with.
Sure.
Like spells would basically condense.
Like materia or something.
Yes. I think that would be really cool. Like spell crystals would kind of just fall down, or planar rifts, like planar energies would coalesce into something. So like a transmutation spell might be some kind of shifting material that you can mold into something.
I can see that. That's a great idea. Like from 3.5, the shape sand.
Yeah. Yeah. The stuff that basically can be any object of a certain size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where my head's at. But I also like the idea of using monsters for building material.
Sure.
Because if there's monsters, look, I've got a beholder. It can shoot like laser beams and stuff. Grab his eye and like carve stuff out with it, right? Certainly other parts of its body is going to be useful, like the chitin around its, bloated form. Maybe that becomes some kind of chitin armor.
Or the big ones, that's a pre-made tent.
Sure. It's just a big puffy tent.
Yeah.
It'd also be kind of fun.
Like the dome tents?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would make a great flotation device. Can you imagine a pontoon built out of several beholders?
Sure.
So you're, bear with me here. It's going to crazy town, but it's going to be a pleasant journey. You're walking out to the lake, and cresting over the rise, you see a pontoon boat consisting of 4 beholders, kind of on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sailing a raft made of, I don't know, just wood, just straight up wood.
Sure.
Right? Sailing. And you look at that party of adventurers and you turn the around.
You just call it a day.
Because if they're using beholders as pontoons, they just kill them and inflate them.
Yeah, if you are that disrespectful, then you have the ability to be
if you
that
have
disrespectful.
that much free time on your hands as an adventurer, like that dude's running back to town to make sure that everybody needs to
Leave.
to either leave or get their most valuable stuff to sell.
Yeah, I was thinking, the bicycles with the big wheels that you can go out on the beach on.
The beach bikes, yeah.
That you can go out on the water. Just 2 big old, or 3 if it's one of the trike ones, big old beholder inflated balls that they're just.
What else could we make beholders out of? We have to ask that to our listeners at home.
Yeah. I mean, a beholder hot air balloon is a given.
That's delightful. I love that.
Like Up, just a bunch of beholders.
Yeah, we redo Up with beholders. Vaporized everybody. What would your material be? Animal, vegetable, mineral, or other?
Probably vegetable, and that's because I like the idea of renewable resource magic.
Matt's got like 50 different types of magical wood in his head already that he hasn't written down.
That's not untrue.
Yeah. Of course, we're always interested in what your answer to the question of the week is, and if you'd like, hit us up at Goblin's Corner on Twitter or Mastodon, which we're also on. And of course, you can find us on all of the various social media channels that we sometimes post to.
Yeah, like Facebook.
That's right.
And you can also just comment down below.
Right down here. Let's dive back into the magical materials now. And interestingly enough, you happen to have yet another wood, Matt.
Indeed.
In terms of magical materials. Remember, Matt wrote all of these, so with the exception of the last one. Well, tell me a little bit about spirit wood. What's the description here?
It is a strange, plain-touched wood that often grows in deep forests. Wood harvested with permission yields a tough, flexible wood that is translucent and ever so slightly luminescent.
So a translucent, glowing wood.
Yes.
I can think of many uses for that. That is all. First off, that's awesome by itself. Again, not really inherently magical. I mean, yeah, it sheds light, but I mean, so does a glow stick, right?
Right.
Okay, what's the lore behind spirit wood?
Spirit wood comes in a couple of varieties. The first appears fully grown when an area develops a connection with the Feywild or a nature deity or power's domain.
So when nature happens, spirit wood can potentially grow.
Yes.
Okay.
This variety usually already houses a spirit of some kind.
Like a dryad.
All sorts of things, whatever you need it to be.
Oh, yeah, I guess it could be anything, really.
Mm-hmm. If it's in a swamp, it could be some sort of water elemental or any other thing that could be tied directly to nature.
Like a bog
something
or some
primal
kind of fey thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a, the giant flying mosquito alligators that we came up with in the previous episode that I can't
just
remember
lives
what
up
they're
in the
called.
branches.
Yeah, it just flies around, big nest of them.
But the second sprouts when a new spirit is formed in the wild, either by a deepening natural connection in an area or some momentous event.
Like a connection to the Feywild. Like a rift opens up. Look, there's spirit wood everywhere now.
Yeah, it can happen.
That's momentous to me.
Yes. Early on, the spirit may not even be aware of the tree, but over time, they will be drawn to the tree and begin developing a connection. The connection does not require close proximity, but the state of the tree will reflect its spirit, and to some lesser degree, the spirit will reflect the state of the tree.
So if the spirit's pissed off, the wood's going to be pissed off.
Yes. And if the spirit gets drastically wounded, then the tree will start to wilt.
Oh, man. If this is it like kyber crystals, like in Star Wars? Maybe if it's angry, it turns it red.
Could be. Yeah.
Maybe you could have different colored luminescence according to the mood of the tree.
Like maybe a spirit tree that is attached to a red cap is just a different visual than a spirit tree that's attached to a dryad.
I got this leg lamp that's made out of spirit wood.
And it keeps kicking people.
It just is really pissed off. I just get a really disturbed feeling when I get near this lamp.
One of the interesting things about this is that if spirit wood is harvested without the consent of its spirit, whether it's a fey, forest, or otherwise, it turns black, brittle, and stains anything it touches, raising the hostility of any creature that recognizes the stain.
Now, you might think that's a bad thing, but I actually have a potential use for that we'll talk about in a minute.
All right.
This is a perfect example, by the way, of just something that could exist in a standard issue forest, right?
Sure. In the descriptions of the Feywild, the way you get to the Fey realms is through deep forests.
Yeah.
If you are walking through a forest and you see a couple of these popping up, you might be getting a little close to some place.
Chilling in the temperate forest, go roll through. Oh man, I found some spirit wood.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that can be found in the temperate forest. In fact, we did an entire episode called Temperate Forests. So what are some potential uses of spirit wood?
It is usually used for artistic inlay to provide gentle lighting for either particular items or even rooms if a spirit is pleased enough to grant that much wood.
That's a lot of wood.
Now, granting a gift of spirit wood is taxing to the spirit and requires days of rest following the gift.
So you can have a nice luminous room. Or, instead of I kind of see, like I said, like a lamp, right? You have a glowing lamp that just kind of lights the room up, really brings the room together. Some frames would be nice, like glowing frames.
Yeah. Occasionally, if you're a friend of the spirits, it can be made into jewelry, kind of like identifying so that other spirits recognize, oh, this dude's okay. We should just leave them alone.
To be a perfect lore gift for a party of characters that happens to help a dryad out.
Yes.
Nice low-level adventure reward, right?
Yep.
Nothing super crazy, but then when they go back into any forest, everyone's like, oh, we know they're cool.
Yeah, that dude's all right. We like them.
They like to party.
Now, you said you had an idea for using this?
So I have this idea. Okay, you're a druid, and there's a lumberjack just chopping all the trees down. You're pissed off, so you capture him, and you tear off a branch of spirit wood, and it stains it black. You just basically rub the guy head to toe in it, or just toss it to him before it turns black, and then he holds it, and it just stains his hands black.
Or you just throw him through the limbs.
Sure, marking him as
an enemy of the forest.
Yeah, you
and
use
the spirits.
You use it basically as a magical punishment.
Yeah, it becomes like a hunting mark.
Yes, and you have something to back up that as well, kind of like like a Call of the Wild type thing.
Yeah, in dire times, defenders of the forest will use the tainting dye to mark enemies of the forest and call the spirits to hunt the offending creature.
So adding them to the wild hunt as like hunted creatures? Yeah.
And the way I see it is the stronger the individual is, the more likely that you get the actual wild hunt, like the for real one.
If I was a particularly vindictive druid, I would actually make a pit trap and have the spikes be
spirit wood
that has just been broken off without consent. And it's brittle, so I mean it'll crumble easily.
Yeah.
But if it pierces them, then it's going to hurt, and if it doesn't, he's going to get marked. Stains your soul.
The way I was thinking it was, if a druid gets permission to use the wood, then they can either use it as the dye or as the luminescent, beautiful wood that it can be.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
that's spirit wood.
Next, however, we are moving to minerals.
Yes.
Ish. Tell us a little bit about Lacquer Stone.
Okay. This transparent orangish red stone can be dissolved in alcohol to various degrees of thickness and then either poured or painted on a surface, hardening as the alcohol evaporates. So it's like a lacquer.
Sure. That makes sense. Hence the name.
Yes. Lacquer stone is quite hard once dried and has a variety of uses depending upon the worker's creativity. I mean, if you've got a mold, then you can pretty much make it into anything, right?
That makes sense.
It's a stone. Once it's dry, it's super hard, right?
Right.
It's like a resin, basically.
What's the lore behind this stuff?
While it's called a stone in the common vernacular, the reality is lacquer stone is closer to a type of crystal.
Okay.
Specifically, lacquer stone is the indigestible bit of material spit out from a zorn as it makes its way through the earth. As it's chomping along, eating minerals, it finds something it can't digest and just kind of coughs it up.
Sure.
Some enterprising wizards have taken this knowledge and sought to capture and farm zorns for their lacquer stones, but so far none have been successful. Many job boards post lucrative zorn hunting contracts for unscrupulous adventurers. Good luck. You're going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You want to go creature harvesting a zorn, you're in for it.
How do you effectively keep a zorn?
Magic. Force spells.
Sure. hope you keep chucking the right material in there until it starts spitting this stuff out.
I mean, maybe you find some that have like IBS or something like that, and then just kind of.
Yeah. I mean, wizards are wizards, right? We've already discussed over and over that they're crazy.
They are crazy, and this is a perfect example of why they are crazy. Because magic.
What are some of the potential uses?
Well, I've thought of a couple. Covering stuff like wood, first off, just as a lacquer to wood.
Sure.
Because, I mean, that's what lacquer does. Roof shingles would be neat. You have like some really nice red-orange, semi-clear roof shingles.
Sure. That would be neat.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Clear barriers or anything that can replace glass.
Okay, I can see that.
So maybe you live in an area that doesn't have glass, but you've got, I don't know, plenty of Zorn. I could see this in like a dwarven city.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I was just thinking in the mountains.
Yeah, they somehow trick the Zorn into eating certain things. The Zorns belch that out, and then they have Lacquer Stone that they can use for stuff.
Maybe they actually tame Zorn.
It's very possible.
They just feed them all the smelting stuff. All the slag and everything.
And every now and then they toss him something that makes him give him a little bit of too much fire in the belly, and they spit it up. And then finally, protecting any type of important item, potentially forever.
Sure, I can see
kind
that.
of like casting something in amber.
Yeah, I was just thinking you could use it for lacquered nails to use as weapons. Like go a little Wolverine on it, because I mean, if your nails become hard as stone.
Oh, you mean like make a mold and just put them on top of your nails? That would be kind of fun. They'd be neat to have as like a gauntlet too. Like a stone gauntlet that monks could use.
And it would look really cool.
It would look super cool, which is the whole reason we're doing this.
Yeah.
Speaking of super cool, you've got another stone coming up, and we're talking about Chroma Stone. What's up with Chroma Stone, Matt?
Chroma Stone is a translucent cat's eye striated gem.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's eyes, normally, you can't, even if you put a light on the other side of them, you can't see through them, right?
Okay.
This one is slightly translucent, so you could actually see the passing of light.
Cool shapes against the wall, make the Batman symbol or something like that if you shine a flashlight behind it?
Sure. The stone changes color to match the color of magic that is cast through it.
So you use it as a focus lens.
Yes, you can.
Nice.
If a person specializes in a particular type of magic, it will slowly begin to permanently take the hue of that magic unless intentionally changed.
And of course, this is depending upon what kind of colors magic happen to be in your campaign.
Sure.
But if you don't have colors, now's a great time to come up with some.
Absolutely. What is the traditional color of whatever school or what have you?
What color is transmutation? Purple.
More versed practitioners can change the shape of Chroma Stone, but usually only into simple geometric shapes, unless they are particularly gifted.
Oh, interesting. So if they are a powerful spellcaster, maybe it starts maybe even growing, which would be kind of neat.
Sure.
In the presence of a...
You can get a little more intricate with it.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to gauge whether the first-year students are worth their salt or not.
That's true.
Very cool. What's the lore behind Chroma Stone, Matt?
So the truth is, any stone can become Chroma Stone. Areas that are long suffused with transmutation magic will eventually develop veins of Chroma Stone.
So if you've got a transmuter just lying around, he's going to be covered head to toe, deep in the mountain with Chroma Stone.
Now that would be fun. A transmuter dwarf where it literally just starts radiating out from them.
Or you lock the ancient lich in a tomb.
Yeah, the ancient transmuter lich.
And it's just slowly just turning into Chroma Stone around. And they mine it because people forgot about the lich. And then they unleash the ancient terror from beneath the mountain.
Yeah, they become I like that idea. I was also thinking the lich actually starts making like Chroma Stone golems and...
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome too. Even better.
Yeah.
What are some potential uses for this, Matt?
Spell foci.
Obviously.
Is the most common use for it.
Sure.
Now, some wizards give jewelry made of this material to apprentices to keep an eye on what types of magic they cast most often.
If it goes a little purple-black,
yeah, you gotta
have a little chat with that guy about his animate dead spells.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is occasionally used by magic practitioners as a show of power when intricate pieces adorn staffs and wands.
Sure. If you've got this like multifaceted crystal on top of a staff, everybody looks at you like, damn, That must be a really powerful wizard.
Yeah, just a matrix of different points, a Fibonacci, right? The people are just like,
Yeah,
I'm good.
It's growing into the fifth dimension. It's like this time crystal thing now, and they're just like, nah, man, we're Elminster's here. We're staying away.
I'm good.
So that's Chroma Stone, huh?
Yes, indeed. Lastly, and this is your...
This is my contribution to the magical materials for tonight.
Yes, indeed. Tell us about Meteoric Cheese.
That's right. You heard it correctly. I love everything about this. This gray, exceptionally hard cheese often falls to the ground in rare chaos rains and other strange celestial events.
Okay.
Once collected, meteoric cheese can be respun into all sorts of things. Durable cloth with multiple curative properties, or molded into pleasing shapes. It's cheese, right?
Sure.
Really, really hard cheese, but it's cheese. Meteoric cheesecloth is particularly useful in speeding up the healing process, while objects forged from the cheese tend to bestow a calming influence in the immediate vicinity. Lycanthropes refuse to enter a room with meteoric cheese for some strange reason.
Okay.
Maybe they don't like the smell. Maybe it makes them crazy because it's meteoric.
I like the fact that it comes from chaos rains, but it has mostly like positive properties.
Sure. Or potentially weird celestial events I'll also go for as well.
Sure. And lycanthropes don't like it for reasons.
All good things, right?
Sure.
Awesome stuff. Again, it's a magical material, but not super magical.
Yeah. Tell us about the lore of this stuff.
Legends suggest the existence of an ancient titanic entity which birthed many worlds in eons past. Some believe the leftover droplets of milk curdled and drifted across the cosmos, spawning meteoric cheese belts and potentially small moons of the material.
Because the moon is made of cheese?
That's right.
Yes. I picked up on that. I'm with you.
Yeah. This is awesome in many levels.
Sure.
I see like maybe a gigantic bovine entity floating in space, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, literally something that births a world. How cool would that be in your fantasy campaign? You're welcome, folks.
Just a creature that floats through the universe, birthing worlds and leaving behind milk to feed it. Like, it doesn't stay, but it leaves behind some milk.
Sure. Maybe the worlds are eggs, folks.
Could be. What are some of the potential uses?
I have a couple. Bandages would be the first one, because if you can spin it into cheesecloth, then it can heal all sorts of things, right? You wrap it around your arm if you get a cut. Maybe even make it into a cast.
Now, that makes sense.
It'd be a lot of fun, right? You break your leg, wrap it in cheesecloth. May smell weird for a week or two.
Sure, but you won't have to worry about lycanthropes in the meantime.
That's absolutely true. Speaking of which, you can make anti-lycanthrope devices from it. It is a hard cheese.
Which is literally any device made out of it because they can't stand the smell or something.
Yeah, but maybe you have like a nice figurine that you've molded it into, or I don't know, a necklace. You could make a trinket or an object out of it as well, obviously. It is meteoric cheese, so it's not like a brie.
Right.
It's like a really hard Parmesan. I would even say you could make a weapon out of it.
I was thinking a baby teething ring.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Because it has the calming influence.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a cool idea, too.
That's a great idea. And then, of course, religious vestments, which you came up with.
Makes sense, right? For gods of peace and tranquility, if it's already got a calming influence, run with it.
Yeah, you walk into the church, and the scent of meteoric cheese just kind of fills the room, and you just have this intense feeling of calm. And you want to know where the wine is.
Clearly.
So there you have it. 8 delightful magical materials for you to use, complete with lore and a couple potential uses for your campaign. We think they're pretty fun. I hope you enjoy them as well.
Once again, we understand that they are not power items. They're not supposed to be. They are here for fun, and they are here for flavor.
Absolutely. Any questions or comments? Hit us up at Goblin's Corner on Twitter or the other socials. Did you enjoy this podcast? We've got a whole cheesecloth worth more. Subscribe to it on your favorite player, YouTube, and Twitch.
Click the 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes and Podchaser. On YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps get our show in front of more people. It boosts the show and feeds the hungry algorithm.
Just currently coming up to you with a plate of something small, gray, very hard, and with the scent of fromage in the air.
Fromage.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, folks.
The Goblin's Corner has been written and produced by Eric Holden and Matt Staples.
Music by D20.
This is a Subterranean production.